Welcome to another episode of What Is? And in this episode, I'm gonna be talking about what is YAML. So, you wanna know what YAML is? You wanna know how to use it and what the basics are? Keep watching. I'm Garrett, and this is TheFatRat. So, what is YAML? Well, in this episode, I'm gonna explain that, and I'm also gonna show you how the format works and how it is structured. So if you want to skip ahead, here are the timestamps. Now, let's dive in. So what is YAML? YAML is an acronym, and it stands for Yet Another Markup Language. So what is it? It is a file format, a configuration format to represent structured data. And the whole point of YAML is to make it human friendly. Within IT, there is a lot of stuff that is actually built specific for computers, but we're the ones that have to interact with it. And a lot of the times, people forget how troublesome that can be. So at some point, YAML was born with the whole purpose of being a human-friendly format that is also very good for data serialization. Now, very fancy, but what is data serialization? It is just a way of formatting data in a structured way so it is easy transmittable or stored, and even can be recreated later on. So when you go to a website and you click on something and the web page is trying to get data from the server and get sent back, then that data is actually being formatted in a way that's easy transmittable. And that is basically the whole point of data serialization, making it easy to take complex data structures and make them easy transmittable. Now, back to YAML. YAML is a human-friendly way of representing that data because a lot of times it's easier for when people have to interact with data to have it being represented in a way that's easy to read. That is the whole point of YAML. It is just another markup language, how to represent data and data structures, and it follows certain rules, and that's it. I'm gonna show you how YAML looks like and the basics of it. Now let me show you what YAML looks like and the basics around it. That way it will be easier to understand. So I'm gonna jump to my editor and show you a few things and explain as I go along. So let's jump to our editor. Here we are. Now, empty editor. So we got an empty editor. Let's create a YAML file. Now, so YAML files have two possible extensions, either .yml or .yaml. Now, I prefer the shorthand, so that's what I'm going to create. So let's create a new file and call this pizza.yml. It also means that Visual Studio Code will automatically detect it as a YAML file. So here we go. Now, here's the trick. First, what we're going to do is we need to start a document. We need to represent our data, which in YAML is very simple. You just start at the top with 3 consecutive dashes. 1, 2, 3. Now, the thing is, what you see here right now is you see a continuous line. That has actually to do with the font I am using. I prefer TheFatRat, which is a coding font that actually, so I prefer TheFatRat. It's a font that actually shows certain characters in a nice way. For example, this is not part of it, but instead of having 2 characters showing greater than and equals, you will see this character. This is part of my editor and a font called TheFatRat Code. Now, here we go. So what we want to do is we want to represent data in a structured way that's easily readable, understandable, and reproducible. So what we're having is key and values. We're having keys and values. We have something and it has a value. For example, hey, we have pi. Pi would be a key and the value, guess what? 3.14. So this is how we represent data as keys with values. Now, in YAML, there are certain rules. And the rules are very simple. You can nest data all you like as long as you keep the indentation correct. So YAML works from the top, and if you want to do anything nested or lists or things like that, you have to use the correct indentation, which basically, if you're starting out, just use 2 spaces. Remember, tabs are not allowed. So no tabs, just spaces, just 2 spaces to jump an indentation. But before we go into that, let's go over the basics. Hey, what if we want to write a comment in our file? Let's start with that. So comments always start in YAML with the pound. So let's call this is gonna be a pizza order, by the way. Pizza order. And as you can see, my editor turns it green. It detects it as a comment. Now, then we're going also in the fact that you have data types, and you have so many data types, and I'm not going to go in full details. I'm just going to list a few so everything remains fairly simple. So what do we have so far? We have a document. We just started in document. We have written a comment. And we talked about the fact that everything must be represented as a key with a value, and we can actually do nested values. And we do that with indentation of 2 spaces. So far, not that hard. Now, we also have something called data types. Now, what are data types? Well, it's just a way of representing data for a computer. Let's call it that. And I'm just going to talk about 4. There are many more, just these 4, and you're good to go. We have a string, which is a random sequence of characters, like a sentence. I like pizza. With spaces between the words, you put quotes around it, it's a string. That's how the computer will see it. Then we have integers, which is a really fancy way of saying those are numbers without any decimal, like the number 3. That's an integer. The number 64, that's an integer. The number 384, still an integer. Then we have floats, which is numbers with decimals. There are many types of numbers with decimals, etc. We're keeping this simple. Like the number pi, 3.14. Cool, that's a float. And we got a boolean, which is basically means it's true or false. Now, in YAML, strings, they do not technically have to be quoted. There's a lot of technical stuff behind it that you can get away with unquoted strings. But when you get started, keep it simple. You quote strings with double quotes. That's it. Keep it simple. And you can represent your numbers how you want, and YAML will figure it out. Your software who's reading it, it can figure it out most of the time. So don't worry about it. We're just trying to show you what YAML is and what it looks like. So what I'm going to be doing is I am going to make a pizza order, very simple pizza order. And with that pizza order, I am going to show you nested keys, maps, list, sequence, the whole thing. How do we start? Well, we start by making order. So let's call this a order. And then you will see me doing a colon. That is the separator character between a key and a value. That's it, just colon. And then you do a space. It's part of the separation, easy to remember. Colon, space. And now I can do, for example, this is order 1, right? We have more things. An order has more information about it. An order has a number, and an order might have a time, and if it is paid or not. So we're gonna straight up use our first indentation. So this is gonna be, and we're gonna do 2 spaces, as you can see, 1, 2, and we got an order ID. And as you can see, click 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is our order ID. Cool. As you can see, I do have AI code assistance running in the back that's trying to guess what I'm doing. I didn't turn it off for this video, so This is gonna be fun. And this order was received at the pizzeria. Well, hey, let's just say, hey, at 1830, right? But here's the problem. 1830 it has a colon in there, and a colon is a special character that is being used to separate keys and values. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this between double quotes, just put it as a string. Okay. Order time was at 6:30 p.m. Now, and then what we're having is, well, did we pay? Well, the order was paid, so this is paid. Cool. Now, we got our first map, which means we got a key, and instead of having the key having a value, it has a bunch of other keys, and that's called a map. That's it. Anybody else? Yes, a lot of people can argue with me, but I'm trying to teach people the basics. And we're not going to go into very advanced stuff. So we got an order, and let's talk about the customer. Well, I ordered the pizza. So I am the customer, and I'm going to do another map. And we got the name of the customer, and that's Garrett Timmer. And as you can see, there's a space between my first name and last name. So, hey, we're using a string. Still very easy, makes sense, right? Same way that the order ID, we didn't have to quote it. We can do that, but that's how the software that will read this or use it wants to interpret it. Now it will interpret that order ID as a number. And what else do we have? Well, we got my phone number, which is, by the way, this is fake. It's gonna be fake, of course. So let's call 1-800-123-45 and 6. Well, that's my phone number, apparently. It has dashes in there, the hyphens, which, by the way, we're gonna get into that, is also a special character. So we got a customer who ordered the pizza. Now we need to talk about the pizza. And the pizza is gonna be a size large. I ordered a large pizza. As you can see, we have a type, we have a key, and we have a value. And this is how we can describe our data. Toppings. Now here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna make a array. You may have seen already my code assistant popping up with different solutions. So there are multiple ways of representing this in YAML. So I'm going to show you the first and then the second one. So when you want to do a list sequence, it's all the same. There are two ways of representing it, which is you can say, well, pepperoni, and I got myself extra cheese. This is one way of representing it. It's now a list of two items represented as a list sequence, right? But there's also another way you can do that, and that's how you can use the hyphen. So toppings, then you have to indent again, indentation, and you start with a hyphen to represent a list. And then you say pepperoni. And of course we got the extra cheese. Cool, that's it. Both of them are the same way of representing it. Now, what else do we have? We got a pizza crust, and I'm gonna have a stuffed crust. Cool. Finally, we are doing delivery. And because delivery, key value, and this is gonna be to the address. Well, 1, 2, 3. Oh, it makes the whole thing. Wow, cool. Address. And that is gonna be 1, 2, 3 Main Street. And it's gonna be delivered in 30 minutes. This is our pizza order. Now, there are multiple ways of representing things, and there are some more advanced things here, because you can also have like objects or maps represented as a list. In case you see this, that would be, hey, I start a list and we say name Garrett, and let's I have to make a list, and let's call this list. And there's also well, let's call this first name. By the way, you don't have to do everything lowercase. You can do uppercase too if you want to, but prefer to do lowercase. Last name Timmer and first name, last name. And this is very cool. Now we have a list of persons. This is just to show you that you can have a list, a sequence, which can have key values, and that's it. This is just to show you how lists can have keys and values also nested. You can make very complex data structures with YAML. There are just a few rules, which is you start a document with 3 hyphens, comments are with the pound key, with the pound character. Strings must be quoted, just do that. And please try to avoid keys with hyphens because they can cause some interpretation problems with YAML. It is possible, but then you have to quote the key and you get all kinds of weird stuff. So try to keep it simple. Use underscores if you need to separate words of a key. Just keep it simple. Try to represent your data. Don't try to be fancy. Doesn't matter. Just make it work for you. That's all you need to do. So let's recap. What is YAML? YAML is a language for representing data structures. And I've shown you some basics around it. What are key values, some basic data types, and I've shown you how to start your own document, how to read it, how does the indentation work, just the basics. This should give you fairly enough understanding of YAML to read a file. I hope you enjoyed this video. Comment below, like and subscribe, and I see you in the next episode of What Is? I'm Garrett, and this is TheFatRat.